Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and today we're going to be taking a look at the MSI Z87 GD65 gaming. There's a fair old bit on here. We can look at some of the backs of the box because we obviously do want to talk about some of the specs. There's audio boost technology, golden audio jacks, headphone amplifier, EMI shielding and high quality audio capacitors. It's got a killer E2200 Ethernet on there, so it kind of prioritises game traffic a little bit. It's kind of difficult to test that, to be fair, but it supports SLI and Crossfire multi-GPU. It's got Sound Blaster Cinema, military class 4 components, which is quite a big one. MSI's new military class 4 components support you while you're questing, racing, battling and shooting your way to the top, delivering record-breaking stability where you need when you need to keep cool in the heat of battle. Also, it's been leaked on Facebook that the military class 4 stuff has the lowest RMA rate across all of the big vendors at the moment, including Asus, Gigabyte. Obviously EVGA don't really need to be counted because their RMA rate's ridiculous. But anyway, right, there is a gaming port as well, so you've got PS2 and the two USB 2s at the top for nice rapid, no delay, all that kind of stuff. And it's obviously, I have done a preview on this already if you want to go and take a look at the video, but it's lovely black and red. I will bring you in to have a proper look anyway. But for all the little gaming nerd type people out there, something that you may like is it comes with a door hanger, and there's a sorry I'm busy, I'm gaming, and then there's another one around the other side, I'm not here. But whereas a lot of motherboards come with little stickers and stuff, this one's got a massive metal gaming shield, I think we'd call that. Now, I have to admit, when it comes to like stickers and stuff like that, I don't like them because you see people with Intel logos on the front of their case. To me, that just makes your rig look cheap. You know, those stickers are just horrible. I've never ever liked them on the outside of a case. But something like that, I think you'd probably spoil your case if you put that on your case. But maybe somewhere else in your man room, your office, your gaming room, your bedroom or something, you know, maybe, you know, on a folder for school or something, depending on how old you are, it really don't matter. But I think you'd be kind of wasted. Why would you want to put this on your case when you know you've got the motherboard in there anyway? It's only ever really you that's going to be seeing this. Surely you'd want to put it somewhere else. I think maybe if it was me and I was actually using it, especially if I had a black phone, that would look epic on the back of your phone. So every time you're walking down the road talking, you're going to be seeing that. So yeah, don't just go sticking those stickers like that. But anyway, that's just my point of view. But what we need to do is I'll give you a look at the rig spec that we test with. We still test with the 7970, even though the NVIDIA stuff is out now, but we will be looking at that in the not too distant future and, you know, working out whether we need to jump ship and move across with newer graphics now the new gens are out. But yeah, I'll bring you in, we'll have a look at some BIOS, we'll have a look at some benchmarks, and then we will try and wrap everything up in a nice big conclusion, where obviously we're having to make a lot of these videos in such a short period of time, as well as testing them in such a short period of time and writing them up, as well as doing all the normal website work. The videos for the launcher are going to be slightly smaller than my usual ones, but they're probably still going to be longer than everybody else's because obviously can't keep my mouth shut. Anyway, let's bring you in so you can have a look at the rig. Right then peeps, the rig as we're using it today, one thing to be really clear about is we've already done a really in-depth preview of the board already, looking at all the aesthetics everywhere, you know, everything's kind of placed around the board and stuff. So if you are, you know, considering buying this and need more information about that type of stuff, fan header placement, really nice aesthetic stuff, all the bits and bobs that are on the board, please look that that review up as well. Colours really don't match with this one. I'm on an older test bench, which is still with the old blue and white kind of testing, so it doesn't really match the board. But just to pick out a few bits, H100i running there. We've got Corsair Vengeance Pro RAM, which is 2400 megahertz. With the overclock stuff, we run that at 2400 megahertz as well. Then we've got a Club 3D 7970. Power supply is an AX1200i. Stuff to talk about in and around the board that we like. The post tester or the post readout is lovely. Something else that I'd like to kind of point out is the go to BIOS button is brilliant. You press it and it will go to the BIOS. I assumed that you would press it and then the rig would shut itself down and go to the BIOS. It doesn't. You press it and then the next time you restart, it goes to the BIOS. So I think they could have maybe had a switch in the BIOS that you could have flicked. So if you whack that, it would just restart straight away, which personally I think that should do anyway. Overclock Genie, nice simple one. You press it, restart the rig, it'll auto overclock itself. We'll show you that in a minute as well. Power and reset button. Now the audio boost, you can see up there. In fact, I'm going to zoom you in because it looks like the camera's picking it up quite well. Right, yeah. The audio boost. It's very pink. A hot pink, but it's definitely not red. Doesn't match the rest of the board at all, which is quite a shame. Yeah, I'd be inclined to maybe take this off and have a little play with it, try to make that more red, because I think it spoils the look a little bit more. Especially where, well, when you look at that, how red that is. Come on camera, wake up. Ta-da! Come on. It's really not playing ball. I've really got to get another camera, haven't I? There we go, we'll leave it like that. With how, you know, red and intense that is, it really doesn't, I know it's a different shade to the AMD, but you can still see it's a really deep red compared to that, which, you know, in comparison does look very pink. So, that's the rig as we're using it. I'm going to rejig the camera now so I can talk to you. We will eventually get into the BIOS and stuff like that. And yeah, I will be back in a sec. Okie dokie peeps, so what we will do is we're going to have to do a couple of restarts, so I'll show you this to start off with. Zoom, zoom, zoom! Right, you can see there that even though this is loaded with optimised defaults, the board runs the CPU at 3.9 GHz. The turbo side of things with the CPU, technically the Intel settings are one core at 3.9 GHz, and as soon as you start to load more of the cores up, they drop down. It generally, when turboed, runs at about 3.7 gig. But this runs this at 3.9 out the box, auto settings. So it's already trying to run the CPU a little quicker than normal. Something I will say straight off the bat is with the BIOS that I got with the board, it's not reading the core voltage correctly, as I will show you in a bit. Now, what I will show you is what I'm going to do. I need to turn the light on quickly. We zoom in a little bit. Now I know it's to the right of the shot, but there's the BIOS, go to BIOS button. So we're going to press that. So we've pressed that once. That's now primed and ready. But now what we do is we go back to the screen here. We come down in the bottom ending corner and then we go to restart. We do it that way because if we do it restart through the actual operating system, when it loads up next time it will just load up normal. It won't come up with the whole, you know, Windows didn't load properly last time stuff. But as you can see, no BIOS smashing, no button, you know, whacking. It's gone straight into the BIOS for you. Absolutely lovely. I do mean absolutely lovely. I love the go to BIOS button. The amount of times I normally sat here smashing delete trying to get in, it's unreal. Now, using a GD65, you can see that I can use the everything lovely. The mouse isn't going the wrong way. It's not difficult to control. It's quite nice. Now the thing with this BIOS is it's a bit of a mix of two. It's like the old one and the new one thrown in together. You can obviously still use the mouse really easily. Let me turn that off. You can still use the mouse really easily. It's still got a nice graphical interface, but it's not as slick as some of the other ones. I actually do really like it though. I have to admit, with the other ones, like the more graphical variants, I always go to the original ones anyway. I suppose where I'm a bit older, I've been around a little bit longer. But this I think is a nice blend. Each to their own though. Now, one thing I can show you all the kind of settings and stuff that you've got, but it's all just normal BIOS stuff. you don't really need to, you know, mess around. The one thing that I do like when it lets me get back to it. See, this is one of the things I need to. There we go. And if I move over it, the overclock profile, I do have some overclock profile stuff saved. Although it doesn't appear to have saved it, but we can go through that. I can sort that out for you in a bit anyway. Anyway, so we've got that. That's all lovely, lovely. But we know what the CPU is running at out the box. There's obviously this, the Overclock Genie button, which you can kind of activate in here if you want to. And you can set it to profiles and stuff as well, but a really, really easy way of doing it. And if I turn the rig off, we'll go over here, I'll show you. Whee! So I'm going to turn the system off. That's it. You can then press the Overclock Genie button and you see it lights up. Nice and simple. And then you quite literally just boot it on. And then when we go back, right, so we're on the desktop, open CPU-Z, and I just want to show you what CPU-Z will give you, or sorry, what Overclock Genie will give you. And if you have a look, when we zoom in, whee, you'll see it's only really bumped it up to 4 GHz, which obviously the CPU was running straight out of the box at 3.9 anyway, so it's only giving you that 100 megahertz more. So it's a nice little button. It's nice and simple to use. It's good if you want a basic overclock, okay. But as you'll see later on, especially because we are going to be doing some overclocking guides with these boards as well. Not obviously right now because time's a bit too limited. But we can show you that, especially with our chip, that it is capable of so much more. So what I will do is I'm going to get back in the BIOS, load up the overclock profile that I've got saved, and I will be back. Right then, okay, so we're in the operating system, mouse is moving around, lovely bubbly. If we open this up, and I'll zoom you in, whee! Zoom you right in as well. There we go. So, boom, 5 gigahertz. Now that is just a screenshot, but the reason why it's a screenshot is literally thermal limitations more than anything. Even a H100i can't keep this tame, and this is well within safe voltages as well. This is only 1.25 volts. Like I said, this doesn't read properly at the moment. It's just a BIOS problem. But what we're going to do is we're going to go and back it off to 4.8, and this is at 4.8. It's 100% stable. So I'm literally just going to hit the old go to BIOS button, and then I'm going to go down here, flick restart, and I'll do it with you. Boom, right, BIOS in overclock. Down to adjust CPU ratio, notch notch, down to 4.8, F10, save, yes, bosh, done. Simple, whee! I'm hoping that you won't find these restarts and everything so boring. Right, so boshty, we've got the CPU 4.8 gigahertz, all lovely bubbly. And then we flick over to memory. Memory's still only running 1333. So what we need to do now, and you can see it's 666 times it by 2, 1333. So I'm going to do again, just quickly, and this is just to show you how quickly we can smash through all of this. Restart again. We've hit the BIOS, go to BIOS button. Honestly, I love that go to BIOS button. It's brilliant. Right, in here again, Bosch. Come down here, DRAM reference clock. But what we want to do is leave those on auto, go down to XMP and enable it. And you can see it's popped up with DDR3, 2400 MHz, 10, 12, 12, 31 at 1.65 volts. That's the native settings for the 2400 MHz Corsair Vengeance Pro. So awesome. F10, yes, thank you very much. The reason why I say get your CPU stable first, I've obviously already tested this, so I know it is. Keep your memory low and then work on your memory after you know your CPU stable, because sometimes you may have to back your CPU off a little bit if you want to keep memory high. Although with the Haswell stuff, the memory controllers are really strong. It'll XMP boot at 2666 without an issue. Right, so that's opening. Boom, done. Zoomage. Right, so 4.8. Go across to the memory now, and all of a sudden you see it's 1200. You can see the memory timings have changed. 1200 times 2, 2400 megahertz. So what we want to do now, and I'll leave this running for you as well so that you can see. We'll go over here. OCCT. This is what I use for my CPU testing. Not only does it get my CPUs just ridiculously hot, but if this is stable, generally the whole rig is. Now what we've got is we've got Limpack mode set up. I'll bring you in and I'll move this down out of the way so that you can see it. Right, so pardon me. I've got Limpack mode set up. It's on automatic. 30-minute runtime here. And then we've got idle period 0, 0 at the end, so we know it's just going to run for 30 minutes. We've got 64-bit ticked, we've got AVX compatible ticked, use all logical cores, so that means it will load the hyper-threading cores up as well, and it's on 90% memory. So if we hit that and it will start running, you'll see that the CPU usage has now just gone instantly up to 100, and this blue line here working its way up now is it's now loading the memory up. That's essentially the amount of memory that's loading. So that works its way up. You'll see these temps spike when this gets up to about 90. There you go, 90 Bosch. Now those temperatures have leaped up into the 90s already straight away. Now that's a CPU thing. You could say that the 1.25 volts is too hot. We're kind of the opinion really that the CPUs, it's the old Ivy Bridge problem. It's not a motherboard issue, but it's like the IHS issues that we had before. Now, okay then peeps, so you'll hear that the fan noises are up. It's because I've taken the fan speed reducers, and on the H100i I've got the Performance Edition fans going as well. So that's what you can hear. Now, it's not that the cooler can't cope, it's more that, as with the Ivy Bridge stuff, the IHS and the contact with the actual core itself, it isn't great. It still isn't with these. We were hoping they would have sorted it out with these, but they haven't. Now, they are designed for ridiculously low voltage anyway. So putting them up to 1.25, which is what we're running at the moment, has bumped the voltage up a little bit. But we're told that anything up to 1.35 is safe, but the thing is 1.35 volts creates so much heat that they start throttling. They get to about 100 degrees and then you'll see the core clocks drop, which if it happens you'll see it up here. Hopefully with the fact that we've got it turned up and everything, we should be fine, but if it does happen, that's what happens up here. And like I said, that's just because it hits 100 degrees. Now one thing I will say is OCCT is really, really stressful. So when you're in game and doing all of the other benchmarks that we'll be running and that we run in the review, it won't get anywhere near the temperatures that these will, and we'll be able to run hardware monitor in the background, so I'll be able to show you. So this is really like a real worst case scenario, and it's 22.5 degrees in here at the moment as it is. But we've got it's going to run for 30 minutes, no idle period, nothing at the end, 90% free memory, 64 bits ticked, AVX compatibles ticked, and use all logical cores because obviously we've got hyper threading on this. So we'll hit that, and then like I said, this is 100% memory. This is 100% CPU, and you can see this blue line, this is the memory working up. When it hits 90, you'll see these temps leap up, and I do mean leap up as well. See, they've instantly now gone up to the real high 90s, but if you keep an eye on this, if this moves up and down, it's because we're up right near that 100-degree mark, and it will throttle itself back a bit. We might be alright. Yeah, it seems to be kind of floating around. The hottest temperature we've had, oh, sorry, hit the tripod. Hottest temperature that we've had so far has been, oh, it did hit 99. Oh, there's 100. So don't forget, this is a huge overclock. But there we go, it's just started to drop off. Like I said, the rest of the benchmarks, we'll stop that. The rest of the benchmarks, I can run the H100i with the fan speed reducers. I can also, and it will get nowhere near this, and we'll even run that in the background. But I did want to show you the OCCT, because that is a really, really good stress tester, and I mean a really, really good stress tester as well. I'm going to just restart quickly and quieten these fans down just to prove a point, and then I'll show you some benchmarks. Right, okay, so you can see the CPU temps there. That's our max value. That was obviously cooling down from the run before. Minimum here, and the current value there. I'm going to leave that running behind. Just go drop the camera back a bit. I'm going to open Cinebench, and I showed you this in the 477K video. So CPU, we'll run that and it'll run through. Now a stock 477K will do it. It scores 8.08. At 4.6 gigahertz 477K is 9.98. Obviously this is 4.8 gigahertz. And there we go, up in the top left hand corner you can see it's 10.53. And just to let you know, 4.8 gigahertz 3770K was that scored 9.74. So it's almost 3/4 of a point up at the exact same clock. It's actually a little cracker. It's still just in front. If you run the if you were to set the overclock to 4.6, at 4.6 it will still beat a 3770K at 4.8. So it's considerably faster. And Cinebench, it's never a massive score difference. So you know, the fact that we got 3/4 of a point when the same clocks, still 4 cores, still 8 threads, is absolutely brilliant. The other kind of result that I want to show you is, if we stop this, I know it didn't run very long, but we'll be able to see, no, I wouldn't like to say, but we can see that our temps there went up into the 70s, 77. If I move this across, what I do want to do is do W prime. Now you do have to manually set the thread count. We want that to set 8, and then what we'll do is we'll run the 32 million. It will do that quite quick. And how's that sat in the screen? Right, we'll move this over a little bit, and then we'll zoom you in. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Right, there we go. And then what we'll do is we'll also run the 1024 million as well. So what we'll do, that'll take a couple of minutes, couple of 3 minutes. So I'll let that run, and then I will be back with you in a jiffer. Right then peeps, so you can see the scores and the temperatures there. Now the temperatures didn't go up again, even though we had a burst there. But I'll show you again in a minute. I'll reset hardware monitor and I'll let Unigine run for a bit. Now a 3770K at stock for the 32 million would be 7.691 seconds, and the 477K at stock is 7.098 seconds. The 1024 stock is 225.625 versus 219.385. Now you can see the results that we've got there, but if 4.6 and 4.8 overclock, so I can tell you the difference. That's the 4.8 overclock there, which is 516, 5.616, and then 173.331. If you were to lower the clock to 4.6, obviously drop your volts, drop your temps, all that kind of stuff, the scores obviously take a little bit longer. It goes up to 5.754 and 176.547. I'll just quickly show you the page just so that you can see, because I do have to take notes now. There's been so much for me to remember. Anyway, the numbers are there. You can pause it and get the numbers that you want. Now, I'm going to reset hardware monitor. Now, what we use to test our graphics card temperatures is we just let Unigine Valley loop. Now I'm going to leave it on 2560, but I'm only going to put it on no AA. I'm just going to let that run round because it's a relatively good kind of, I won't say gaming benchmark, but it's an easy way for me to simulate it for you. So what I'll do is I'm now going to let that run for 30 minutes or so, and then we will come back and we'll check the temperature of the CPU again. I know this is very CPU test orientated stuff that I'm showing you, but obviously with a motherboard you're going to want to know these things anyway, and this motherboard does overclock slightly better than the Gigabyte one that we did previously, so it's just a way to show you that you can still achieve these clocks and don't necessarily have to worry too much about your temperatures, you know, going ridiculous, because with gaming use it's alright. It's just those really intense CPU benchmarks drive the temperatures right up. Yeah, I'll just let this run and we'll come back in a minute. Okay then peeps, so I'm going to quit out of this and then we can take a look at the CPU temp. So rough idea, you can see down there the maximum that we've got up to is 60. We've got 60, 58, 54, 52, and the package temp at the bottom is 60 as well. So you're probably going to be looking at 60 to 70 degree temps for kind of extreme kind of gaming use, that type of stuff. And the reason why I wanted to stress these things with you is because obviously the CPU temps do look high. With a CPU benchmark it will do, but when you're using it for gaming, which you know the most of you will be, it's not as bad. But anyway, I'm going to keep it short today. I need to. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to a conclusion. Right then, okay, we've made the conclusion. Like I said, I apologise for the shortness, but where I'm having to make all of these so much ahead of time, you could see the date actually. I'm going to sneeze as well, so I apologise. I should try looking at the lights and hopefully I'll get it done. But right, award, gold award for the board. It's going to be coming in around the 156, 150, 155, 155, sorry, 160 pound mark in the UK. And you do get a lot for your money, really. Now, the reason why I went into such depth to show you about temperatures was because, yes, the Haswell chips are hot. But if you're using it for gaming, which is what this board is aimed at, you will probably be able to get away with running your clocks that little bit higher. You're still going to need to monitor them. You know, get hardware monitor, do a gaming sesh, look, see what your CPU temps get to. But if your games do need the that extra little bit of boost, I very much doubt they will do, but let's face it, we do like to say we're running X gigahertz. Your temps might not get hammered that much. Your rig will still be stable. You can obviously use OCCT and Prime 95 and stuff like that to get them stable, but then when you start doing your gaming and stuff, the temperatures will just be that little bit lower. And the reason why I did kind of want to show you that is because the Gigabyte board that we did the 477K review on, we only really got up to about well, we got 4.6 out of it. If we went a little bit further, it started to get a little bit shaky. Now this has got the extra power phases on it, so the 4.8 was, you know, easy to get stable at 1.25, but obviously because we put the volts up, the temp's got a little bit warmer. We obviously did get a 5 screenshot out of this as well, And I'd go as far as to say again, if we really wanted to be able to try and get that safe, I think I've probably got it in the CPU, but heat is always going to be a problem. So that's going to be something in the not too distant future I'm going to look at, because I'll say now, so it's kind of out in the open, and then when I do it, it's all right. But I will be looking at de-lidding mine. And then when I de-lid it, hopefully it will drop my temperatures down enough that I'll be able to then push my overclocks a little bit further. So keep your eyeballs open for that in the not too distant future. Now with the gaming board, you do get a fair bit with it. The audio, if you've got a dedicated audio card, I would stick with your dedicated audio card. What I see the extra audio on this being is really slightly better audio if you're using headphones plugged in. You know, if you're using headphones, 3.5mm headphones, whatever, because obviously USB won't be affected by it. But if you've got 3.5mm jack headphones, you'll see a little bit of a nice boost there because it's got the headphone amp and stuff on it. And also, if you're just the type of person that doesn't really care about using onboard audio, then this will be better than, you know, normal run-of-the-mill audio. But it's not up to the spec of a dedicated audio card. Wouldn't really expect it to be either. This is a £150 board. The sound card in my rig is worth £100. So you wouldn't, you know, expect this to be able to pack those kind of punches. It looks the business. The BIOS is actually really easy to use. You know, setting it up, you've got all the connections on it that you could possibly want. But the best thing about this board so far for me is that click the BIOS button. I absolutely love it. Please, everybody else, fit these as standard. If you've got a BIOS clear button, give us a click to BIOS button as well. It's just, oh, I love it. Just being able to go like that and then hit reset, or, you know, go into the operating system and hit reset, and then not have to, you know, worry about waiting for the keyboard to light up and starting to smash delete. It just does it for you. It's brilliant. So really, we can't really say a lot more. For a gaming board, it probably does more than most people are going to want. You've got good overclocking there, good features there. It's all there for you. Do you know what I mean? You can run SLI and Crossfire on it if you want to. You've got some nice big gaps there. You've got a choice. If you were to stick a second graphics card in, there'll still be a slot. If your graphics cards are 2 slot each, and you put it in the middle PCI Express slot, there'll still be a slot between. If your case is a bit deeper, which a lot are nowadays, there's a PCI Express slot right at the bottom, so you can use that. Obviously, I can talk about all this stuff now the NDA's been lifted, or you're going to be watching it after the NDA's been lifted. So it's a crack of a little board. I don't think, like I said, for 150 quid, gaming orientated motherboard, you could want for much better. And the fact it looks so good as well, it's just, to me, it's a bit of a no-brainer. I really, really like it. And I mean really, really like it. And obviously the black and red's always popular. But one thing I will say is, because it's something that I said in the overview video, before people start going on about it being a ROG copy, the MSI have actually gone out of their way to make sure that it's not. Yes, they've used black and red, but all of the slots and everything on the board is black. There's only a couple of little flashes of red on the heat sinks and stuff. It's actually very different to the Rampage. If you want to put them side by side, or, you know, any of the other ROG stuff, and put them side by side, this is predominantly black with just a little bit of heatsink red added in, and it does work really, really well. It shouldn't be deemed as being a copy just before, you know, people start moaning. But let's face it, with this board at 150 quid, it's a full-size ATX. It can run Crossfire or SLI on. If you were to buy, you know, a black and red Asus version of this, you'd be looking at 250 plus for like the equivalent Maximus. And obviously with those sort of ones, they're more kind of overclocking orientated anyway, which, let's face it, with this board at 150 quid, we've already hit the thermal limits of a really good a really good CPU cooler. So would you really want to dick arse about with paying more for features that you're not going to use? Probably not. Anyway, MSI Z87 GD65 gaming, not a second doubt in my mind. Thoroughly well worth an OC3D Gold Award, and the price just solidifies that, really. Like I said, 156 I've been told, so I reckon it'll probably be hitting the retailers around 160. Wicked board, absolutely wicked board. I'm not going to want to send this back, it's so good. So yes, I'm going to love you guys, and I'm going to leave you, and I've got so much more to do because I've got other reviews that I need to get videoed now. But for now, at least, this is Tiny Tom Logan with another video for you. out.